Yale Levy and Ryan Ponsford have run over 150 seminars and workshops throughout the US, Canada, and Europe on topics such as shared legacy and heritage, impact investing, not-for-profit donor motivation, building businesses with purpose, youth philanthropy, and many other topics. They both are nationally recognized financial educators, speakers, and lecturers, and have been interviewed by or written for several major industry publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Investment News, CNBC, the American Dream TV Network, Financial Planning Magazine, among many others. Their professional backgrounds originated in wealth management space, where they served as advisors to affluent families. As advisors, they both discovered the power of giving and how philanthropy can unite families, companies, and communities over multiple generations. As you can see on this slide, in 2012, they started a nonprofit called Main Street Philanthropy, designed to teach students about finance and business through philanthropy. Today, through their benefit corporation, Gateway for Good, they are on a mission to help others unlock their abilities to make a difference in the world, leveraging the incredible power of giving to reunite a divided world. Please join me in welcoming Yale Levy and Ryan Ponsford. Take it away.
I guess if I unmute that thing, there's our first technical breakdown, right? I was muted. You missed my great introduction. So I'm Ryan Ponsford. You'll hear from Yale Levy here shortly as we get into the program. Want to really thank Nancy, Phil, the entire foundation, of course, Arlene and her team over at Life and Legacy. We've had an absolute blast putting this stuff together. As Nancy mentioned, it was a pivot trying to figure out how do we take what we had designed for an in-person session and make it useful, meaningful, and enjoyable in a virtual environment. So we hope this ends up to be that. This has been the result of a lot of experience that Yale and I have had over 20 plus years working in this space. And we've spent some time putting together what we've defined as what are the characteristics of the greatest gifts. We've all had opportunities to give. Some, have had great experiences. Some have had not so great experiences in their giving and their philanthropy. And working with lots and lots of families and businesses and organizations over the years, we've been able to observe, right, what are some of those characteristics of the greatest gifts. And so we came up with, we believe to be the 9 characteristics of great gifts, and we're excited to share those with you tonight. As a quick thing, we love the idea of capturing thoughts. Having been to many, many conferences, spoken at lots of them, I know you hear great things and sometimes you leave that meeting or that session and it's gone. So we mentioned earlier to make sure everybody has a pad and a pen. If you don't, now would be a time to go grab one. There will be some specific points where we'll be pausing along the way to have you jot down some reflections. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a word or two to jog your memory so you remember what we've talked about tonight. And so we talk about reflections. Some of you will have some big ideas, some things you may not have thought of that you want to make sure you capture. And then we always encourage, what's the next step? If you have a great thought, what's the first thing that you do to implement that idea? So have the pad next to you. Feel free to move forward with it. Capture all those great thoughts so that you will, because you will get a chance to use them later. As we go through this, we're going to be sharing some videos from some people that you may recognize about their experiences and some of what they've felt and experienced through their giving journey. What we want to mention is giving for everybody is a very personal journey, right? Your experience is different from every other person that you're seeing and interacting with on this Zoom session. So everybody has their own personal journey. We want you to just join us in reflecting on what giving has meant to you and then what it could be. So we're going to carry on, move forward. Again, we're on Zoom. Expect some challenges, internet connections, ours, yours, somebody's, and give us a little bit of a benefit of the doubt as we go through those. But we're going to go straight forward here and get you guys moving and thinking. One of the first thoughts we want you to ponder Maybe there's a word or two you want to jot down on your paper, is just reflect on what are some of the greatest gifts that you've given. Think about all the gifts you've given. You know, sometimes gifts are financial, sometimes they're not. Maybe it's something you did for somebody, but reflect for a minute on what are some of the greatest gifts that you've given. Now, as you jot down your ideas, what was it that made them great? What were some of the unique characteristics of those gifts that made them not just good gifts, but great gifts? And try and capture some of those ideas, and we'll see where this journey takes you. We're going to now move into the 9 characteristics of great gifts. And we're going to kick this off with a video from a family that has a lot of experience in giving. And we hope you enjoy this process.
I think over the course of our marriage, we've been philanthropic since the beginning. And the meaningfulness of the gifts have always been very much tied to where we were at that moment in time. So when we were involved with the Federation campaign chairs.
During the recession, it was 2009 and 2010.
At that time, that was the most meaningful gift we made. But now we've moved on, and I founded a nonprofit that is supportive of, affordable veterinary care, and that's taken on a new meaning for us. So sometimes it's really about where you are in your life that connotes how much meaning something has to you.
Well, I think giving is very much a reflection of somebody's stage in life. When you're younger, I think giving is very much a reflection of somebody's stage in life. When you're younger, you give smaller gifts, probably because you can't afford to give large gifts. And then, God forbid, people have sicknesses come into the family. The sickness or the death may inspire gifts to certain organizations because either what the organizations do or how they supported the people through the process. And then as you get older, you want to leave the world a better place because of your legacy and what you can do, and make it better for your children, grandchildren, and the community.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Yale Levy, and I too am very grateful to be here with you tonight. It's interesting that both Mark and Maddie and Alan and Carrie seem to share the same observation. For them, their giving evolved over time depending upon where they are in their lives. As you sit here now, take a minute to reflect back on your own life. And as you do, can you also see how your own giving journey has maybe evolved throughout your life stages? Was it different, for example, say when you were younger versus how you experience your giving right now?
The first characteristic of a great gift is great gifts are narrative, right? They expressed and reinforce the central storyline of your personal experiences. So think about, as you thought about those great gifts, was that gift narrative? Does it resonate with where you are in life and some of your personal experiences? We're going to pop a poll question up for you guys, so we get a chance for you to participate here. And we're going to share this with you. And if you would take a quick moment, it should be on the screen in front of you now. And the question is, do you feel that your current giving reflects where you are in your life stage and what you feel passionate about? Of course, to all these questions, there's no right or wrong, so feel free to, and we won't share names on this also. It will be anonymous. We'll show you the results, but it will be anonymous results. a few more coming in. Give you about 10 more seconds. 5. All right. You guys want to see the results here? There you go. So interestingly, you can see here how it breaks down. It's a little bit different for everybody. So for many of you, life stage, your passions are drivers to your giving, right? Others somewhat aligned, and others that hasn't been a big focus. And everybody, there's nobody that's not really sure. So that's a great sign.
This gift was meaningful because I believe that every Jewish child could be educated to have a good background at a young age. I know that if you start them young and get them enthused with their religion and their passion for religion, that they will make good adults and good leaders for the future.
Is Barbara and Jerry's vision for what they would like to see for the Charlotte Jewish Day School kids apparent to you? And as you sit here thinking about this, why is having a clear vision for what you want important? Not just in your giving, but why is having a clear vision important with everything in general in your life?
We've made a lot of meaningful gifts, or I'd say most of the gifts that we make are meaningful to us. If I think back, I think one of the more memorable gifts was a Federation luncheon that we went to in the late 1960s, of which Golda Meir was the speaker. She was not yet the prime minister. But we were it was a fundraiser for Federation, and everybody in the room, and there were several hundred, got up and made a pledge. And we were in the back of the room because you were seated according to how much you gave. But we did get up and make a pledge, and it started us on a long journey to support Jewish organizations and Federation, among them non-Jewish organizations as well. But I would say that our focus is certainly on Jewish organizations. We feel that if nobody else is going to support Jewish organizations but Jewish people.
Can you see how Barbara and Jerry's gift to the Charlotte Jewish Day School and Don and Bobby's support of Jewish causes has a direct connection to their life lessons, to their life experiences, to their wisdom that they've acquired throughout their lives, and also to their personal passions? There's a link, there's a connection. Can you see that?
Great gifts. The second core characteristic is great gifts are organic. They spring seamlessly from your life lessons and your passions. We learn things in life, and that influences our giving.
So, for example, I was on the board of the symphony for many years. I was board chair at the symphony for 3 years. I was on the board of Charlotte Ballet for many years. And I was on the board and was president of the Charlotte Jewish Day School. And I got into this, I found this opportunity where the symphony and the ballet both have programs, runouts that they'll do for elementary schools, but they charge for it. Both of them do. And so I ended up making contributions to the Charlotte Jewish Day School so that they could afford to have both the symphony and the ballet come and present to their students. And that's just a complete win-win for me, because I love the symphony, I love the ballet, and I love the day school. And you have all of these combined in one moment and one opportunity to support all three organizations. And I think that's really what it's all about.
So one of Rich's unique strengths is his ability to clearly see that bigger picture, to naturally be able to just put the puzzle pieces together and create win-win scenarios for everybody involved. So when you consider your own strengths, can you see how applying some of those to your giving experiences could enhance that experience for you, for your family, for the causes or organizations that you support? Rich Osborne said that being able to support all three organizations in the same moment was a win-win for him. And he really felt like that's what it was all about. His ability to not only make a financial contribution, but also leverage his personal skills and strengths was really a pivotal ingredient in his feeling that that gift was great.
Great gifts are pivotal. They leverage your unique skills, your strengths, and your capacity. Yale and I have spent a lot of time on this topic, and we wanted to take a minute for you guys to even think about this. For some of us, writing checks is our gift and a unique strength. For others, we're good at other things. We want to encourage you to jot down some of your unique strengths or your skills that give you fulfillment. What is it when you're doing them, you know you're good at it and you can make great impact? For some of us, it might be, you're a great volunteer. You're gifted in finance. You're great at writing checks. You're a good connector. You know people in the community that can make things happen. Maybe you have technology skills and you're great with social media, or you're artistic. Maybe you love being a host and you like hosting events. Take a minute to just jot down some things. What might be your giving superpowers? Oftentimes, I know for Yale and I, we've been asked times to, hey, can you contribute to this cause? And sometimes our response is, perhaps we could write a check, but there might be other things that we can do that are far more valuable than any check that we're going to write. What might be some of your unique strengths and gifts?
Well, we had always been active in Federation in Chicago as supporters, not necessarily as participants, but we were supporters of Federation, and through that we were supporters of Jewish Family Services. And we found that we could not have children naturally. We decided after 5 years, I think, of marriage, to adopt our family. And the first adoption was our twins, and we were able to go back, and they considered that one adoption and adopt a girl about 5 years later. So that was a close connection to both Federation and Jewish Family Services, and it has carried us forward with both Federation and Jewish Family Services since that time.
Beside money, which is great, being involved in the school is also good, because I've been on the board for many years and have seen it grow from a little school to where they have 120 children. And that is wonderful to me. I get a lot of knockers out of that.
Have your giving experiences involved a deeper relationship beyond just giving of your money? And would you like your giving experiences to take on the kind of personal meaning and connection that these families have enjoyed? If your satisfaction in your giving is about more than just money, is there anything that might be holding you back from having a deeper and more connected relationship from the causes or the organizations that align with your passions? And can you see how investing just a little bit of extra time maybe towards those organizations can have you really experiencing a great gift for yourself, a gift to you? So maybe like the Levins, if you can do that, you can get more nachas in your own giving.
Fourth characteristic of a great gift is it's connective. It binds you together with people, causes, and organizations. Sometimes the time you invest with an organization has even more impact than the checks you write. And meeting people and connecting with them brings even greater satisfaction from your gift.
Actually, I made the same gift twice, and it was to the Israel Emergency Fund. It wasn't the largest gifts that we've ever made, but it had a immediacy to it. I felt like I was really responding to a existing immediate need, and it was very gratifying.
Was it the immediacy that made it? What made it most meaningful?
I think what made it most meaningful was the fact that I was responding to a need that Israel had. And even though when we give to Federation, we're really doing the same thing, but this was something a little bit different. It just felt different.
One of the most impactful gifts I think that we've made was to a scholarship fund for minority students at the University of North Carolina School of Law. The law school is looking to recruit minority students, but the affordability of the law school is a challenge for some of those students, and that is a gift that will have impact not only for the student, but for the student's ability to practice law after getting an education at one of the top law schools in the country, and the impact they'll have on their community.
So when you make an investment into either a for-profit endeavor or into a social endeavor, into a person, into a cause, or into an institution, what Ryan and I like to refer to as a social investment, how important is it for you to feel that your investment is going to lead to a positive result, to a positive rate of return? And when making an investment into a cause that you care about, would it be more meaningful for you if you felt you were having an even greater impact? Do you like to see heightened impact? If you did like to see heightened impact, do you care to measure it? Is that important for you? So a great example of heightened impact for me is actually the example of the Harold Grinspoon Foundation. Some of you might know this story already, but for those that don't, Harold committed to investing $30 million over a 10-year period to promote Jewish legacy giving around the country. And I think that was about 7 years ago he started that. To date, he's invested around 20 out of the $30 million. And that $20 million investment thus far has netted or yielded about $1 billion in completed or committed legacy gifts throughout the country, of which about 100 million out of the billion has already been realized because people don't want to wait until they die. They want to be able to enjoy that gift and see it occur while they're around. So that is just, for me, a great example of leverage and of added impact. But, sometimes it's not even about a monetary impact. Sometimes impact is measured beyond dollars. It could be measured, at least as it relates to your social investments in lives that are changed. And I like to cite our charity, Main Street Philanthropy, as an example of that. Ryan and I created that organization also about 7 years ago. It exists to essentially teach philanthropy and use philanthropy as a delivery mechanism to teach and instill critical life skills. We've thus far integrated into, I think, about 50 high school classes, and we've had about 1,000 teenagers go through our programs, issuing grants to over 250 different charities. But really the big yield there is that the kids themselves feel personally transformed because of heightened giving experiences. They would tell you that they experience great gifts, but really for us, the jury's still out, because who knows where this new appetite for giving will lead to for them. Hopefully really, really wonderful places.
Great gifts are impactful. They produce a measurable difference in the recipient, the cause, or the organization. Sometimes measuring your impact can be a challenge, but I would challenge you guys to give it some thought as you're giving and think about what is your expectation from this gift? How will you know it's been successful? And when you recognize that and you recognize that you've realized that return, you'll get greater satisfaction from this great gift. So an opportunity with your pen and your pad in front of you, consider a time when you gave of your time, your talents, or your treasures even, and you felt particularly satisfied with that investment. One thing we teach to the students and families that we work with is that giving is often not about donating. Oftentimes it's about investing. And how do you have an investment mindset with your giving? I know that's something that Phil and Nancy teach a lot, and they share that belief in how do you start viewing this as an investment in sustainable causes. And in thinking about times you've done that where you felt like you got that return, what was it about that gift that was unique? And somewhat conversely, as you're thinking about this, has there been a time when you gave of a gift and you found you're actually very dissatisfied with it? What was different in that experience? Having worked with lots of nonprofit organizations around the country and donated a lot of funds to them, we've learned that some of them are great recipients, some are not as good at recipients. You can give somebody a large chunk of money and feel very dissatisfied with what you've done at the end. And it can be a painful learning experience, but it's worth noting. Sometimes you learn more from those than you do the good ones. So it's worth reflecting on it. A smart person once told me that learning isn't about just the learning, it's about the reflection on the learning. So when you have these experiences, reflecting on them is what will really lock it into your mind and give you an actual learning experience.
Well, for me, that's easy because it is my husband's decision to totally transform the Hebrew cemetery, which he was inspired about because we lost our son to a malignant brain tumor. And if those of you have lived here as long as we have, they will appreciate even more because it was, Mark said, I'm not leaving David here in the ugliest cemetery in the United States. And it was really bad. And you all know how absolutely beautiful it is today.
As you listen to Maddie and Mark's story, can you see how supporting something that feels so personal and significant for them leads to just a much heightened, greater sense of fulfillment and really deep personal meaning?
The sixth characteristic of a great gift is it's fulfilling. It's acknowledged appropriately and holds deep personal meaning. There's oftentimes two parts to a gift. There's those who give and those who receive, and being able to recognize the benefit and the opportunity for both can be extremely satisfying and really create the opportunity for fulfillment through your giving experience.
Again, because of the growing up as Israel grew up, I was inspired by the people that came before me and what they did for the state of Israel, both in terms of donations and Israel bonds and what have you. And then I had the opportunity to be the chair of the emergency campaign. And it gave me a chance to set an example for the rest of the community in responding to the needs.
The most meaningful gift, I think, is the Charlotte Jewish Day School. When it started as a little small school, and we've watched it grow, and we've continued to contribute to it every year. As a matter of fact, this past year, I contributed $36,000 for a matching grant, which they turned into $109,000, which was a great benefit to the school.
Can you think of a time when either an individual or an organization did something that was so inspirational for you that you were actually moved to a point of action? And how would you feel if you knew that your gift or your action had inspired or had motivated others to do more, give more of themselves? Would that have you feeling a heightened sense of satisfaction?
Great gifts are inspiring. They move other people into action. I love the stories about someone who's given a gift and just their gift inspires other people to do more. Great gifts can be contagious. They can get more people ready to move forward and take action. Sometimes we feel like our little thing's not doing much. It's something we see with the high school kids. They don't give away large chunks of money, but oftentimes their small gift is a seed that inspires other people to come around them, get excited and motivated, and mobilize other people into action.
So I began my affiliation with the Foundation for the Charlotte Jewish Community many years ago when I set up a donor advised fund, which is really an easy way of starting to realize your charitable objectives. The foundation keeps all the records. They send you all these reports. You go online and you access it. And you can convert, obviously the traditional way is to convert securities into a pool of money at the foundation. And then you recommend different gifts and they process them very quickly. And you have everything right there in real time. And it's a terrific way to make gifts and keep track of everything. And they have all this record, there's these records of what you've given and how much you gave and so forth. So I really find that very useful in enabling charity and donations.
Why is it more satisfying when you're able to financially align your giving with your overall financial objectives? Would optimizing and aligning your giving, doing things that make good financial sense, be something that would create more joy and more satisfaction for you in your own giving experience?
Well, we have been giving for a long time. We started our family foundation in 1988, and we were giving before that, but we tried to organize it into a more centralized system for giving. And we have established in our estate plan endowments for many of the organizations that we are significant contributors to. And so after our death or the second to die, we will be able to contribute at least as much as we are contributing now on an annual basis to several organizations. Probably all the organizations that we contribute to today will, in some way or another, be able to expect dollars from us in the future.
So Don and Bobby Bernstein, just like Rich Osborne, they financially aligned their giving. He centralized his giving. He built it into his estate plan. And it's a way of optimizing. It's a way of making sure that everybody's taken care of.
A great gift is integrated. It meshes with your overall planning, your objectives, and your opportunities. So there is a technical side to giving that comes into play, and understanding where the opportunity is there can be a great resource as you're leveraging, maximizing, and ultimately integrating your gifts.
Picking up on what Maddie said, the cemetery is very meaningful to me. And I also have extended that gift in my mind to do brain tumor program. And that's because, as she said, David died of a brain tumor. And Duke is doing research on brain cancer. And in that way, what we're contributing, in addition to the professorship up there, we are doing cancer basic research so that we can eliminate, hopefully, that problem and other families dealing with what we've dealt with in the future.
When Mark and Maddie were reflecting on their gift to Duke, Mark used the word "we" several times. I couldn't help but notice that. We can eliminate the problem. We are doing research. It's so obvious that there's a sense of ownership there. And I guess the question I'd like to float is, have when you thought about your greatest gifts earlier, have your greatest gifts also had you feeling a sense of ownership in the changes that you were helping to create? And really, can you see how the Silverman's gift to both the Jewish cemetery and to Duke has had really such a huge impact on them as well? Not just on the causes that they care about, but also on themselves. Giving experiences that do that can transform you also in the process.
And the ninth characteristic of great gifts is great gifts are transformative. They positively change your heart, your life, and the lives of others. I could say it's fascinating when we first got into this area of giving and philanthropy, is we had this clear recognition that giving is really about oftentimes changing the hearts and minds of those who give, often as much as it is the recipient. And so that becomes the transformative property of philanthropy, of giving in a way that really you walk away realizing you're a better person because of what you've been able to do. So another opportunity to capture a thought. Consider a giving experience when you set out to do something or even to help somebody else, but you actually found that you were the one that was transformed in that experience. Has that ever happened to any of you? Ever set out to help somebody or volunteer and you walk away realizing, wow, I was the one that got all the benefits out of that? So jot it down. As you're thinking through all these experiences and we're asking these questions, the opportunity here is to find the thread. What's the common thread among the greatest gifts you've given? And how do you do more of that, right? Find the things that are making it great and do that again, right? And different gifts have different characteristics of greatness. How do you start blending those together so every gift you make gets optimized, maximized, becomes greater and greater? And again, other people can recognize how you're giving and be inspired themselves through their own giving. Recapturing the things that we've been through, the 9 characteristics, in case you didn't catch them all along the way, we want to just make sure you did. And we'll share with you in a minute. Yale share some questions to ask yourself around these. But just a reminder, great gifts are narrative. They express and reinforce the central storyline of your personal experiences. Great gifts are organic. They spring seamlessly from your life lessons and your passions. Great gifts are pivotal. They leverage your unique skills, your strengths, and your capacity. Great gifts are connective. They bind you together with people, with causes, and with organizations. Great gifts are impactful. They produce a measurable difference for the recipient, the cause, or the organization. Great gifts are fulfilling. They're acknowledged appropriately, and they hold deep personal meaning to you. Great gifts are inspiring. They move other people to take action. Great gifts are integrated. They mesh with your overall planning, your objectives, and the opportunities that you have. And ultimately, great gifts are transformative. They positively change your heart, your life, as well as the lives of others. Another chance for a poll question and some participation from our fearless audience. You guys are fearless, just so you know. And I will launch this poll. The question to consider, now that you've heard these stories about these 9 characteristics, where do you see yourself in your personal giving journey? And again, this is different for everybody, no right or wrong, but some will just be beginning your journey. We're just getting started. We're learning about this. We're having new experiences. Some have given gifts and now you're excited to enhance them and maybe even do more. Some of you may be deep along or far along on this journey and you're excited to know, hey, I've got this down. I'm doing most of these things. I'm on the right track. And there could be others. Some of you may be thinking, we've done a lot. Maybe it's time to incorporate our kids or our grandkids into this experience. What might that look like for them? What would I like to share with them some of these characteristics and teach them to become great givers? Give you a few more seconds to respond, about 10 seconds. Don't miss your chance to vote. I've heard rumors that voting's important. Somehow that's been beating my head recently. Not sure why. All right, hopefully everybody's submitted. You're gonna like these results. A great even spread. This is like almost the perfect standard deviation bell curve here. So you can see everybody's in a different place. Everybody's journey is personal. And everybody's getting going. They've been going, they want to do more, or they're doing great and will continue to do so. So if we've gone through these stories, I hope you've had a chance to jot some things down on your paper. What are some of the big ideas that you've had in listening to these stories? Hopefully you've come up with one or two. Pretty good chance you'll have an opportunity to speak with Phil and Nancy about this, and having that in front of you might be a good reminder for you to be able to reflect on what it was that captured your mind. What about this was interesting, or ideas or thoughts that were triggered as you've gone through hearing some of their stories and learning about these great characteristics of great gifts. And what's the first action step? Think about that. What's the first action step you might take in continuing on this philanthropic journey?
So as Ryan had pointed out, we always like to frame things up using a question, because sometimes a thought in the presence of a question allows you to think about something just a little bit differently. So again, going through the 9 characteristics, think about these questions. Narrative, does your giving experience, does it express the central storyline of your life? Is it organic? Does it spring seamlessly from your passions? Is it pivotal? Does it leverage your unique abilities, your unique strengths and abilities? Is it connective? Does it bind you with the recipient? Is it impactful? Does it make a significant difference for the recipient? Is it fulfilling? Does it satisfy your own deep-seated yearnings? And does it inspire? Is it inspiring? Does it motivate others to make similar gifts? Is it integrated? Is it in harmony with your overall planning? And is it transformative? Does this gift and does the giving of this gift change you as defined by you?
So the question becomes, what's next? When will you make your next great gift? And something we like to leave people with is this idea of giving and how it's universal and available to anybody. A lot of people think, I will give when. And we talk a lot about the word philanthropy and how scary the word philanthropy is. It has this almost elitist feeling of being for really rich people and names on buildings and tax deductions and big checks. And one of the things Yale and I teach a lot is when you look at the word philanthropy, it's really quite simple. If there's anybody that studied Greek, you'll know it's made of 2 words, philos and anthropos. The word philos in the Greek language is a word for love. The word anthropos in the Greek language is a word for humankind. So when you break down philanthropy to its most simplistic, most obvious, lowest common denominator meaning, it simply means the love of humankind. And if you were to look around with all that's going on in the world right now and the division we're seeing, what do you think would happen if people experienced a little bit more love in the world? Do you think it would be a step toward reuniting this divided world that we live in? And think about your giving as an expression of love. Think about philanthropy as an expression of love. It doesn't necessarily need to be money. There's a lot you can do with money, with capital. You've heard examples of that today. But there's also things you can do just from your heart, caring for other people, doing what's right, and expressing love through your giving. And we'd love to see that happen and share more of that with the world. That's the mission we're on. How do we create unification in this world? And maybe philanthropy, maybe giving is the secret sauce, the secret weapon that this world needs. And a great quote from Anne Frank: "How wonderful is it that no one need wait a single moment to improve the world." This doesn't have to be a destination. This can be a method of traveling. It's a personal journey. We appreciate your joining us on this journey tonight. And we're excited to hear the stories about each of you and the journey you'll go on going forward in your own philanthropic journey. With that, I'm pleased and honored to turn it back over to Phil. And can't thank Phil, Nancy, and Arlene enough for inviting Yale and I to be part of this, and each of you to spend time and take your evenings away and commit it and invest your time in this experience with us. We hope you found it valuable and you felt like you'll get a return for your investment in your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, hey, it's Phil here from FCJC World Headquarters. Not quite the decorative glass we have at our Tryon location, but we'll try here. It's so great to see each of you. I mean, really great to see you. We really miss each and every one of you more than you can imagine. I want to thank Ryan and Yale for sharing your insight on the making of great gifts. You left us with a lot to think about and a little bit of homework. We look forward to working with you again. To my friend, our friend, Arlene Schiff and her colleagues at the Howard Greenspoon Foundation, thank you for HGF's continued support and collaboration and for making tonight possible. Please express our appreciation to Harold directly if you would. In 2012, our Charlotte community was in the first cohort of the Life and Legacy Initiative. We are proud of our relationship with HGF and honored to be selected as participants for tonight's pilot program. Special thanks to Carrie Bernstein and Alan Kronovit, Maddie and Mark Silverman, Aileen and David Epstein, Bobby and Don Bernstein, Barbara and Jerry Levin, and Rich Osborne for taking the time to share your stories with us. You've helped to really personalize this presentation and make it even more meaningful. And to Nancy Kipnis, my colleague, thanks for all you do. And to Valerie Pearson and the rest of the Foundation for the Carolinas colleagues, thank you. It takes a lot of talented people to make a great team, and we really do have a great team. Finally, to each of you for joining us tonight, thank you, not just for your investment of time, but for your continuing generosity and commitment to making the world a better place. As we once again learned tonight, each one of us has our own unique motivations for giving back. We have so much to learn from one another. So what makes a great gift? What makes a truly meaningful gift? The answers are right here. Think in your head and here in your heart, your head and your heart. It's a very unique and a very personal experience. The answers for making a great gift can also be found on the pad of paper. Yep, the one that you've been using over the past 45 minutes to answer questions and jot down notes. If you haven't taken notes, well, it's about 8 o'clock. We've run a little long. Pour yourself another glass of wine and challenge yourself. Think about your charitable giving, the organizations you support, past, present, and those you plan to support in the future. Ask yourself some questions, some of the questions posed by Yale and Ryan. Use them as a guide for your current and future giving. It's not an easy task, but it's a really worthwhile task. And if you haven't already done so, begin your personal philanthropic journey right now. As we conclude, I want to share some good news. You don't have to take that personal journey alone. FCJC is here to help you. Without membership, congregants, or annual fundraising goals, FCJC is uniquely positioned to assist you on your personal philanthropic journey. That's what we do. We represent you, each one of you. Nancy and I will be reaching out to each of you to meet in person or virtually to help you reflect on some of the questions raised tonight. It's our goal to help you, join you on your journey to making meaningful, memorable, magical, and impactful gifts. Great gifts. So that really concludes the formal part of our meeting. What we're going to do, if those of you that want to head out, head out. If some people want to stay a little longer and have some questions or have a little dialogue, we're happy to stay longer and do that. But we want to thank you for joining us. We'll stop the recording now and entertain people to submit questions, maybe via chat.